Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Redstone Sandbox. In this series we'll explore the use of redstone technology for digital circuit design. In this episode, we'll see how all the standard logic gates can be created with redstone circuitry. First is the NOT gate, or inverter. Here's what the schematic diagram and logic table looks like. Let's give it a try. When the switch is on, the output is off, and vice versa. This is a rather simple component. It's just a block, a redstone torch, and some. Next, we'll look at the OR gate. Let's look at the schematic diagram and logic table. When switch A or switch B is turned on, the output is on. Thus the name, OR gate. Now let's see how it works. Sure enough, the output is on when either switch 1 or switch 2 is on. As you can see, redstone acts like an OR gate all by itself. No tricks are needed to connect the signals together. The one thing I do, and only because with real electricity it's not a good idea to connect an output to an output, is add a redstone repeater after each switch, like this, to act as a diode and keep the power from backing up to the switch. Now for an AND gate. Here's the schematic symbol and logic table. As the name implies, the output is on only when input 1 and input 2 are on. If either or both is off, the output is also off. And sure enough, as we flip the switches, we see that this gate behaves exactly as expected. This gate is a bit more complicated than the others, requiring 3 blocks and 3 redstone torches. Up next is an AND gate. An AND stands for NOT AND. It's essentially an inverted AND gate. Let's look at the logic table. As you can see, it's off only when both inputs are on. The exact opposite of the AND gate. That little circle on the output of the schematic diagram tells you that the output is inverted, or not. All NOT gate diagrams have it. Let's see if this behaves as expected. Sure enough, it does. The output is off only when both inputs are on. This gate also requires 3 blocks, but only 2 torches. It doesn't require the third inverting torch that the AND gate requires. I realize it sounds strange, saying that the inverting gate doesn't need an inverting torch, but the non-inverting version does. But redstone is strange stuff. Since we have a NOT AND gate, it seems we should also have a NOT OR gate as well. And we do. It's called, appropriately enough, the NOR gate. Here's the logic table. As you can see, it's simply an inverted OR. Let's see it in action. It's very easy to construct, as you'd expect. Really, nothing more than 2 inputs to a redstone torch inverter. Things will now start to get complicated. Our next gate is the XOR gate, which stands for exclusive OR. I can hear the questions now. What the hell does he mean by that? Let's take a look at the logic table and figure it out. It's kind of like an OR gate, but either one input or the other exclusively must be on. If both inputs are on, the output is off. Another way of looking at it is as a difference detector. The output will only be on if both inputs are different from each other. So let's play around with the switches and see if this actually does what it's supposed to. Yes, it does indeed. This is a rather complex gadget. 5 blocks, 7 torches, and some redstone circuitry. Our final gate for today is the XNOR gate, or exclusive NOR. As you'd expect, it's an inverted version of the XOR gate. Here's the logic table and schematic diagram. While the XOR can be considered a difference detector, this XNOR can be thought of as a similarity detector. The output is on only when both inputs are the same. This is built essentially like the XOR, except for an added inverter torch at the output. This time it makes sense. The inverted version of the gate requires an inverter torch at the output. Go figure. That's all we have for this edition of the Redstone Sandbox. Next time, things will get a bit more complicated. We'll look at a couple different pulse generators, AMD latches, or flip-flops, as they're usually called. Until then, happy mining!